My grandfather was not a man who scared easily. He had lived through things that would break most people in half. And he came out the other side of all of it, still standing, still quiet, still completely settled in a way that I have spent my whole life trying to understand. He was not dramatic. He did not exaggerate. When he spoke, you listened because he only said things once, and he only said things he knew to be true. So when I was 9 years old and I went to him one morning because something had happened to me in the night that I did not have words for, and he sat down across from me and looked at me for a long moment and said, "Clara, someone came to you last night." I did not question it. I did not think he was being poetic. I knew he was telling me exactly what had happened. And then he said something that I have carried in my body for 76 years since that morning. He said, "When they come, do not be afraid, but do not ignore it either. What they bring is never small. I am going to give you today what he gave me that morning. The 7 signs that a spirit has visited you in your sleep. And I am going to tell you exactly what our people believed each one means. Because your grandfather, your grandmother, your ancestors, they are not as far from you as you think. And some of them have been trying to reach you for a very long time. Now, before I give you the 7 signs, I need you to understand something about how the Cherokee view the relationship between the living and those who have passed. In Cherokee belief, the boundary between this world and the spirit world is not a wall. It is not a locked door. It is more like the surface of water. From this side, you look down and you can sometimes see shapes moving beneath. From the other side, they can sometimes rise close enough to the surface to reach through. And the moment when that surface becomes thinnest, when the reaching is easiest, is during sleep. Our elders were very clear about this. They said that when the body is fully at rest and the conscious mind has stepped aside, the spirit within you becomes accessible in a way it cannot be when you are awake. Sleep is when the door opens. Sleep is when those who love you and those who need to warn you can find a way through. Our people did not fear this. They respected it. They paid careful attention to it. And they had very precise knowledge about how to recognize when a visit had occurred versus when a dream was simply a dream. That knowledge is what I am giving you right now. The first sign is what my grandfather called the weighted sleep. You go to bed feeling normal, nothing unusual about the evening. But somewhere in the night your sleep becomes different, not lighter, heavier than sleep has any reason to be. And when you wake up, you feel as though you have not slept at all, even though you did not wake once through the night. Your limbs feel slow. There is a density to the air in the room that was not there when you went to bed. Our elders said this heaviness is the residue of a presence. When a spirit enters the space around a sleeping person, the energy of that space changes. It becomes denser, more occupied. The way a room feels different when a person walks into it, even before you turn around and see them. You feel the heaviness in your body. My grandfather said the weighted sleep is the most common sign and the one most people dismiss as just bad sleep. Do not dismiss it. Sit with it in the morning and ask yourself, who have I been thinking about lately who is no longer here? 9 times out of 10, the answer will come immediately. The second sign is a dream that does not feel like a dream. I want you to think about your regular dreams for a moment. They are strange. They jump. They make no sense. People who should not be in the same place are suddenly together. The setting changes without explanation. That is a dream. Now think about whether you have ever had an experience in sleep that was completely different from that, where everything was still, where the light was softer, cleaner, where the person who appeared was simply there, standing or sitting, not performing any dream logic, not changing or shifting, just there, looking at you. Our people called these visitations, and they distinguished them completely from ordinary dreaming. My grandfather said the difference is something you feel in your body. A visitation leaves you with a feeling of having been genuinely in the presence of someone. You wake up and your first thought is not, I had a dream. Your first thought is, they were here. The third sign is a specific smell with no source. You wake up in the night or in the early morning and there is a smell in the room. Pipe tobacco, a particular flower, a specific perfume or cologne, food cooking that no one is cooking, something that belongs specifically to a person who has passed, clear enough that you look for the source. Our medicine people were very specific about scent as a vehicle for spirit communication. They said that smell is the sense most directly connected to memory. Scent is one of the easiest doors. It requires less energy than appearing in a dream. It is a knock rather than a full entrance. If you wake up to a smell that belongs to someone who is gone, my grandfather said you should sit up and say their name quietly in the dark and say, I hear you. I am listening. The fourth sign is animals behaving strangely in or around your home in the early morning hours. This one I have seen many times in my own life. A dog that never barks, beginning to bark at something in the corner of the room that no one else can see. A bird sitting directly outside your window making sounds. An animal that does not belong in your yard sitting completely still outside your bedroom window looking in. Our Cherokee elders understood them as deeply connected. Animals perceive frequencies that human beings cannot consciously access. A dog does not bark at an empty corner because it is confused. It barks because the corner is not empty. Our people paid attention to animals the way a sailor pays attention to the sky. They are telling you something. The question is whether you are listening. The fifth sign is waking at the same time for multiple nights in a row with no alarm and no obvious reason. Not once, multiple nights. Our elders called this the repeated knock. If you have been waking up at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning for several nights running and you cannot explain it, my grandfather said you should lie still, you should breathe slowly, and you should open yourself to whatever your mind and your heart bring forward in that quiet. The name that appears, the face that surfaces. In the Cherokee tradition, we called that time between 3 and 4 in the morning the thin hour, the hour when the surface of the water is at its most still. The reaching from the other side is easiest. Do not sleep through the thin hour when it wakes you. Receive it. The sixth sign is electrical disturbances with no explanation. A light flickering in a room that has never flickered before. Your phone turning on in the night. A lamp going off by itself in a room. The atmosphere feels charged. I know how this sounds to people who have not been raised with Cherokee understanding. I know it sounds like coincidence or faulty wiring. My grandfather anticipated exactly that. He said, Clara, the mind that needs everything explained by the seen world will always find an explanation. That is not wisdom. That is avoidance. Energy is energy. A spirit is not nothing. It exists at a frequency, and that frequency interacts with the technology you have built your world around. Do not explain it away. Receive it. The seventh sign is the most personal and the one my grandfather spoke about with the most care. It is the feeling upon waking that someone was sitting on the edge of your bed, not a dream of it. The physical sensation of weight and presence at the edge of the mattress, the feeling of not being alone in the room, a warmth near you that has no source, sometimes accompanied by a hand felt on the shoulder or the arm. Our elders said this is the closest a spirit can come to physical contact with a sleeping person. It requires great love. My grandfather said, Clara, if you ever wake up and feel that someone has been sitting beside you, do not be frightened. That is not a haunting. That is someone who loves you. They cross back through the surface just to sit with you for a while. The spirits that come to sit on the edge of the bed are never strangers. They are always someone who loved you. So those are the 7 signs: the weighted sleep, the visitation, the smell with no source, the animals, the repeated waking, the electrical disturbances, and the presence on the bed. My grandfather gave me these 7 things when I was 9 years old, and he told me never to ignore a single one of them. The people who love us do not stop loving us. They stop being visible. That is not the same thing. And every now and then, when the surface is thin and we are still in our sleep, they find a way to remind us of that. I have been visited 4 times in my life in ways I could not explain or dismiss. And every single time it was someone I loved. Every single time it left me with something I needed. And every single time I did exactly what my grandfather told me to do. I sat up, I said their name, and I said, "I hear you, I am listening, you do the same."